What's really stopping all of us, literally all of us, from having the life and the freedom that we desire is just some sort of limiting belief that we have.
Wake up, it's time to be free. Wake up, was blind, now I see. Wake up, it's time to be me. Wake up, my mind is the key.
Wake up, it's time to be me. Wake up, my mind is the key.
Welcome. It's Jules and Gordon here with another episode of the Daily Jules, where I drop nuggets of wisdom to help you increase your degrees of freedom. I don't care how many college degrees you have. The only degree that really matters is your degree of freedom. It does not matter how much money you make. What really matters is how you actually make money. So today I want to talk to you about how to remove limiting beliefs. I want to give you 4 ways to remove limiting beliefs. 4 ways to remove limiting beliefs. So limiting beliefs are so important because if you ever heard the quote or the scripture, "Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind," the reason that scripture is so important is because that's where transformation actually begins. Most people wait for transformation to happen in the outer world, and then they hope that that transfers within. But most transformation actually starts within, and then it comes without and manifests without. And what's really stopping all of us, literally all of us, from having the life and the freedom that we desire is just some sort of limiting belief that we have. Because I could go find in the world, I can go find people who have less education than you, who don't have the work ethic that you do, who didn't have the connections that you do, who didn't have the luck that you had, who literally had it harder than you, but are experiencing more degrees of freedom than you are. And so the only thing that is different between you and them is how they think about the world and what they believe about the world and themselves. It has to be that it's only the difference in beliefs. Now, we can do affirmations all day long, but an affirmation is an external way, oftentimes, of trying to instill a belief, and they're important. But to truly believe something, like, it goes beyond affirmation, right? Because you can state an affirmation and not believe it. It goes beyond that. And so today I want to talk to you about how to turn around some limiting beliefs that you may have. And so let's just start with the limiting belief of, I'm not good enough, because that's a common one. I'm not good enough at whatever it is, right? There's all other kinds of limiting beliefs. Usually they're not enoughness, right? So I'm not rich enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not hardworking enough. I'm not lucky enough. I'm not blessed enough. I'm not all kinds of enoughs, right? You just fill in the blank, right? And so how do we turn a belief like this around? And so I want to give you 4 ways to do that today. So the first way is to not try to remove it, right? Imagine that it's a weed in your mind. It's a weed, literally a weed in your mind. Most people are like, I just need to go uproot it. Now that can actually hurt somebody when you try to uproot a belief too quickly. If you've ever been coaching someone and you try to change their belief patterns too quickly, they actually reject you, right? They reject whatever it is that you are trying to instill in them or plant in them, literally. And so the first way is actually to simply reduce the belief, right? To reduce the belief. So is it true that you aren't good enough? No, it's not true. You may not be the best, but you are pretty dang good, right? I may not be the best speaker in the world, right? But I'm pretty dang good. So what we're doing is we're not just trying to say, let's scratch that. That's you're the best in the world, blah, blah, blah. No, that's all fake hype, right? That's fake hype. Instead, let's just try to reduce it, okay? You may not be the best, but when you look at, in terms of the average person, you're pretty dang good, right? And so that simply reduces the limiting belief, okay? But of course, we want to totally turn this thing around, and so let's keep on going. So the next one, of course, is to remove it, to remove the belief. And the easiest question to ask, it actually comes from Byron Katie, and her 4 questions are as follows. Actually, I want to read them to you. I want to get it right because I respect her work. In order to remove the belief, you ask her 4 questions. The first question is it true? Is it true that you are not good enough? And sometimes we as human beings will try to come up with all kinds of evidence that proves that we're not good enough, right? But when you really go beyond all the excuses, the reality is it's not true. It's not true, okay? Her second question is, can you absolutely know that it's true? And you simply answer yes or no. No rebuttals or anything. These are simply yes or no questions. Can you absolutely know that it is true? Can you absolutely know that you are not good enough? Okay. The next question is, how do you react and what happens when you believe that thought? How do you react and what happens when you believe the thought that I'm not good enough? Okay. And then her 4th question is, who would you be without that thought? Who would you be without the thought I'm not good enough? See, these thoughts, thoughts turn into, what did Gandhi say? Thoughts turn into, thoughts held in mind produce after their kind, right? If you plant a seed of corn, you're not going to get asparagus, right? So if you plant a seed thought like this into your mind, you're not going to get greatness when you're planting thoughts of I'm not good enough, okay? And so thoughts held in mind become beliefs, and those beliefs become our words, and those words become our actions, and then that's how we end up manifesting in the world. So got to be very careful about the thoughts that you are planting in your own mind. And sometimes there are other people who may have hid the truth about who we are from us by telling us things that weren't true about us, right? So sometimes it does come from external, but if we go back to who you were when you were born as this perfect, whole, and complete being before the world had any effect on you, that's who we have to come back to stand in your true power. So we can remove the belief, right, through Byron Katie's 4 questions. The next thing is to reverse the belief. Reverse the belief. And so simply reversing the belief means taking out the negative word, and you basically say, I am good enough, right? I am good enough at this. I am pretty enough, right? I am smart enough, right? So you reverse this limiting belief by simply looking at the negative word and flipping it and taking the opposite, okay? And then finally, this is what I call the Muhammad Ali. You replace the belief. You just replace it. You stop focusing any energy or attention on not being good enough, and you just completely walk in the opposite direction. You turn all your attention in the opposite direction. And of course, Muhammad Ali was known for the quote, I am the greatest, right? Before he had even won the heavyweight championship, he believed that. I honestly believe he believed that inside himself. It wasn't an affirmation card or something that he was reading. This was a belief that came out of him that I am the greatest, right? And out of that knowing, he started to manifest that in the boxing ring, right? So this is the 4-step process to uprooting a limiting belief, right? First, you might have to go easy and just simply reduce it. Then once you reduced it, you are in a greater position to actually just remove it. And then once you remove it, you can reverse it. And then once you reverse it, you can replace it with something even more powerful. So this is how I think about limiting beliefs. Anytime they creep up in my mind, I'll write it at the top, and then I'll go through this process of, okay, let me reduce this limiting belief. Let me remove it. Let me reverse it. And then let me replace it. And then I focus only on what is here. Okay? This is really important. I encourage you to actually write down your limiting beliefs. Start with one and go through this process. And once you're done, get rid of all of this and only focus on what you have down here. All right. So this is Julian with another episode of the Daily Jules. Remember, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. If you try to fix all this stuff outside, you don't renew your mind, you're going to continue to replicate the life that you created thus far. And that is ultimately not what you desire. What we desire is more freedom and more joy. And it all starts with how you think about yourself and the world around you. All right. So this is Julian with another episode of Daily Jules. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll catch you in the next episode. Peace. I hope these mindsets, metaphors, and methodologies blessed you. If you desire more freedom, go to getfreenow.com to subscribe to the show on iTunes, YouTube, or Facebook, and get 4 of my best courses in the Freedom School for 100% free.